Hi, and welcome back to Book Stage and Screen. We have the immensely talented, I say that about all our guests, but this
This time we actually mean it.
Yes, because he's actually won an award. We have Murray Batten. How are you?
Hi there, how are you going?
Yeah,
We're
good.
good.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So
Thanks for having me.
you should tell us, Murray, what you actually do, so people have an idea of what's going on and what you've won the award for.
Sure. So just to clarify, so I won the award for Young Designer of the Year at the Australian Book Design Awards, and basically that was for the freelance work that I do for the publisher Hardy Grant.
Yep.
So what I do with them is basically design concepts and typeset publications for them. So last year, I think I designed 4 separate books for them, and those were the books that were nominated that I won the award for. So to clarify, that's my freelance job. So I actually work full time as a digital visual designer.
Right.
So my book design, I guess, is on the side, but it's something that I definitely love to do.
Wonderful. And who nominated you for the award?
So that was my publisher Hardy Grant that I work for.
Ah,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And were you aware of the award? Like, was it something you coveted? You wanted to...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's to be recognised in that part of the industry is really amazing. I was very, very flattered and overwhelmed with the award, and definitely just I was excited just to be nominated and recognised. So to win was just really, really cool.
So the cover of a book is such a vital piece of a book's marketing, because when somebody's walking past a book on the shelf or they're flicking through on Amazon, the first thing they really see is that image that's on the cover. But how are you inspired to create these covers? What do you do?
I mean, for me, a lot of the process that I go through, so I'll often start designing the internals for a book first. So, for example, a lot of the publication I do are cookbooks, so we'll sort of go through the process of designing the internals. So a lot of the time the cover is influenced by the sort of the tone and the design that's been done internally. But I think really the process that you go through with a book cover design really depends on a lot of factors. So, considering the genre of the book, the audience, often will it be photography based or typographic. There's a lot of input, I suppose, and influence from the author and their vision, the publisher's vision as well. And then, of course, there's just all sorts of things you can do with book cover design to really enhance them. So looking at embellishments and finishes and all the different things you can make, you can add to a book cover to really give it, the wow factor. So there's so many different things, I suppose, that influence the design process behind it. But I think that the way that I guess I deal with that is iterating on designs and coming up with lots of different concepts. Really just it's a collaborative process most of the time. So as much as I'd love to say, I just come up with a design and that's it, it's heavily collaborative. But lots of all those different factors, I suppose, come into play.
And so you say you work collaborative. So you sound like a bit of a meat in a sandwich, because you've got the author and you have the publisher as well. Is that easy process?
I mean, fortunately for me, so I guess working as a freelancer for Hardy Grant Publishing predominantly, I deal mostly with the design team, the design manager and the editors within Hardy Grant.
Right.
So fortunately, they kind of deal, I suppose, with any additional politics from the author, for example. But so it is mostly, I suppose, collaborating with them.
Yeah.
But really, like generally they're really responsive to my ideas and really advocates for what I'm designing. It'll be, for example, some of the things, I suppose, that, I mean, contentious sounds like a negative word, but really it's things like if it's a photography-based book, the author might have a particular image that they just feel passionate about and feel like that's what they imagine the cover to use. So, of course, that's going to influence my design because it's ultimately someone's come up with this content, whether it's the recipes or the photography, and you kind of want to push their vision as well. So I suppose that's part of the way that we work as designers, is to to come up with a really clever or beautiful way to represent, someone else's content, I suppose.
And so, working on a book, you mentioned in an interview Cantina, the book by Paul Wilson. So, do you find yourself sort of obsessed by that kind of, like that was about Mexican sort of fare, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So, do you find yourself when you're in a sort of designing stage, do you find yourself sort of surrounded by those colours and feels and smells? Is that how it works? Not being a designer
definitely.
myself.
Yeah, so something like that. One of that book cover, particularly, obviously very typographic and graphic approach to it. Was heavily influenced by researching imagery and typography and color, and going to different Mexican restaurants and looking at how other people are using that sort of typography and imagery. So definitely that's really especially something that is purely graphic based, that you're coming up with all of the components yourself. You're really heavily influenced by all that inspiration, I guess.
Oh, it sounds great. Sounds like you're a bit of an actor. You know how actors immerse themselves in the world.
Yeah.
You yourself immerse yourself in the world of design.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely in the initial stages when you're researching and coming up with ideas. It's sort of all about trying to really get in the headspace, and especially because each publication is so unique and based on such a different subject matter. I've done books for all different kinds of subject matters that I might not have even particularly known a lot about beforehand. So it's kind of your responsibility as the designer to inform yourself as much about the content as you can before you design for it. Otherwise you're kind of just guessing, I suppose. So that's really important to do all of that.
And so how did you get into design in general? Were you playing around on Photoshop and things like that? What was your sort of route to it?
Yeah, I guess as early on as when I was as a kid, I guess I've always just been really drawn to art and visual design. I loved painting and drawing when I was a little kid, and then as I sort of went through school, doing graphic design in high school, that's when I really found a passion in that area, and then I went on, I suppose, to study at RMIT communication design. So I suppose that was really the fundamental part of my progression into design that really got me into it, was that course. But I think it's just always been a real love for visual design and visual arts. It's just something I guess I've always had.
And what is the software that you would really specialise in? Where do you sit there?
As a graphic designer, I guess we're really the tools that are common and that I would use would be sort of Adobe Creative Suite. So using Photoshop and Illustrator, and so in publishing, InDesign's kind of like the holy grail of software that you really get stuck into. But because I work across different mediums as well, like I also work in digital design, that a lot of that's designed in Photoshop. But it's across all different software, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how many books would you do a year? Is there, how long would one particular project take?
It varies. I've been really lucky to be consistently getting work through Hardy Grant, so I'll probably do 3 or 4 books per year.
Yeah.
And the process, I guess, varies. Sometimes I'll just be given the design brief for a concept, so that's where I come up with just a visual sort of look and feel and some design, and basically design the core templates that will be used to build out the full book. And then obviously like the cover design and that as well. And then someone internally will do the full typesetting. So a project like that might be a bit shorter, might take, all up between feedback loops and iterations on the concept, it might take, a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then something like a full typesetting might take more, like over a month or so to really complete that whole project.
And have you ever thought of writing or designing a book yourself? Design them, but writing a book, or
writing a book, I think I might struggle a little bit with that. But I definitely have got ideas for especially because I work with, so many different interesting people that do different creative kinds of things. I guess I have ideas of books that I think would be really great, and that I can imagine pulling together people to create those books. So I guess so, and I suppose also understanding a bit more of the process behind it, you kind of imagine like what it would actually take and the kind of content that you would need to create a book. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think design is sort of where I'm kind of more towards.
It doesn't sound like you've got much spare time anyway to go into that area.
Not. No.
Not at the moment.
But
exactly. Who knows?
We do have a lot of listeners who are authors.
Yes.
And even like self-published authors who perhaps haven't gone through the system. How would they go about approaching you if they wanted you or someone like you?
Or book designers,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for example, I would just reach out to me by email, or I think that most designers, freelance designers, if they've got their information on a website or on a LinkedIn or at that kind of forum, then if I was a author looking for a freelance designer, I would just be contacting them through those mediums. That's basically, I guess, the communication tool. Using something like LinkedIn or just email would be that would be the way that people would contact, I think.
And also, if there's artists out there who thought this might be a field that they could maybe branch into or even think about, I had no idea, not because it's not in my realm really, of that there was an association. There is the Australian Book Designers Association, which is how we found you. So you could join. You're a member of that, and have you utilised their talks and?
Yeah, definitely. I only just recently became a member, so I'm sort of getting involved in those kind of things. But that's definitely a great way to network. So, for example, the actual the awards ceremony that they hosted, that was a really, really great networking opportunity, I suppose, because it's not a huge industry, I suppose, in that respect, where if you go to one of those events, you really get to talk to some really, key, interesting people in the field. So I think definitely, joining that Australian Book Designers Association, would be a really great way to get involved in that kind of thing.
Beautiful. And is there any author or person in particular that you'd like to design for, like a dream client?
Dream client. This is a tricky one. Look, this is coming back to what I was talking about before. I've actually got a specific friend, and she does these amazing flat lay photography, where basically she has a really quite a large Instagram following, and she takes these beautiful photos. So I know it's not someone particularly famous, but I'd love to design a book with her imagery because it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, great. Well, it always helps when you know your dream client.
Well, that's right, yeah.
You can go to the local cafe and talk about it. Wonderful. Well, congratulations again on your award. I'm sure you were the one they were all wanting to network after you picked up your award, all the publishers. We look forward to seeing more of your work, and congratulations again, and thanks for joining us here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Murray. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.